Good time, lifetime. Welcome everybody to this beautiful, incredible April red, hot, sunny day. Pumping fire energy everywhere. So, hello, Suzette. How are you, my darling? Love, 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 love. I'm so glad you're back and sparkling, enjoying your sunshine. I feel right now that I'm kind of burning a candle at both ends, but that's okay. And in the middle. I used to be quite used to that being a double Aries. So let us just clear the temples. I'm feeling very like jumping all over the place. I have so much going on, and the best thing to bring it into cohesion right now is just to touch on fire. So, how are you doing, Suzette? How was your weekend? How has been your beautiful pink moon portal? Are you just floating and flowing and keeping your energy up? Oh, that's what I wanted to put on my thing. Please have, hi Josh, greetings, 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 greetings. Yeah. Just check on my community page. I did, thank you, Suzette. I did put a thing of the what's his name? David Hawkins, the scale of consciousness, yeah, the frequencies. It's quite interesting. I actually meant to put a thing of it in here today, but many things I meant and I've just like gone through my brain cell. Just to see where our energy is. I remember long ago when I was looking at it, and it was just so interesting that shame is actually the emotion with the lowest frequency. And I can't remember what they are now. Guilt all the way up. And I was just trying to remember which one changed. Obviously, enlightenment's above, and then bliss and joy and peace are obviously heart, but it goes from the heart chakra up, and then from the heart chakra down, and they just so when you overcome with guilt and shame, and all of your energy is actually yeah. Go and have a look. Go and have a look at that, or Google it, Suzette, and just have a look what it has to say, and one or two things how you can change your energetics. Yeah, and yeah, it's important not to slurp in them. It's trauma, and yeah, it's shame. Shame is shame. It really made sense because I had, for me, when I was in South Africa now, the blind was the easy part. But I had the absolute horror of my sister so blatantly trying to kill my mother. So, and then trying to kill me, putting a hit in. It was like, hey, it's like Stephen King wouldn't believe this stuff. But there was this because this doesn't happen to our family. This doesn't happen to us. And that it's like just so unkind and thoughtfully unkind. So the shame of obviously I've dealt with other shame, but the shame of that I couldn't talk about it. So I just chose to lose my voice instead and stutter and stammer because it was just so horrendous and so shameful, and so horrific. Yeah. So hello Hini, hello Victor. I'm so glad you're all here. So yeah, go and heal that shame. Go and write it down and move through it very quickly. There was a book many years ago. I was house sitting. It was actually really wonderful. I was house sitting he's a mineralogist, but he tumbled jewels and he made. What did he do with the crystals? Anyway, I was house sitting when he went away his home, and he had all these male transformation books, which was really just so amazing that I just like absorbed so much of this wonderful male energy and read. Then one of the books that he had there was Healing the Shame That Binds Us. I think it might be a more Lots of love, Healy. Thank you so much. I will receive that blessing and send it straight back at you. Yeah, because we don't want to take the stuff with us. Yeah, but it was Healing the Shame That Binds You. Maybe you can get it as a free audio book on YouTube or something similar. But that is on, I was just talking about the Hawkins scale. So if you don't know about it, if you want to look at the frequencies of your energy, and sometimes they give you some tips on how to change them, but I'm sure that you can find them for yourself. It's about that interrupting, yeah. But when you look at it and you see it, you think, okay, no, I've got to move up the scale, and we move up this, and usually we move up step by step. Huh? And anger is quite high up. I mean, it's still below the heart chakra, but anger is like really very, it's positive. It's starting to get into the positive. And then there's lethargy and shame, 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 shame. And let's just say, always so interesting for me that shame is actually puts you virtually one step away from death in your energy. So depleting and destructive. So let us just very quickly do our temples. Beautiful, beautiful Lindsay. Yeah, and we all have shame to some level or another. The book that I read, it was more that he had an alcoholic father and that what went on in his home. And that's why people very often won't talk about alcoholism, or they won't talk about sexual abuse or alcohol abuse, being beaten up, physical abuse as well. People don't talk about it. And you'll be amazed as to a lot of the people that you think have wonderful, wonderful marriages are being physically abused. Yeah. So, when you talk about it, and then it's amazing how many people say, oh, yeah, me too. So, very interesting stuff that we do in the West. Yeah, I'm not confused. I'm just like all over the place. So I've got to just bring it into cohesion because since the new moon and just before, I like really, and it was been confirmed in a few places that, and I've been feeling it for quite a long time. You've heard me say that we're like so messed up in the West, but I think the horrors of, which is maybe why I've had to go through what I've gone through in the last 5 years, the horrors of what are, particularly in the Western civilization, the absolute degradation and that horrible big E word, evil, what has actually happened, and bloodshed, and I mean, obviously we want to look on the. Oh, well, thanks, Lindsay. Sorry, I sometimes, because I don't like to talk. These are heavy topics, and it's very nice to be up and sparkly and all of that. But sometimes we need to just get in there and clear it out quickly. It's like a boil, You want to just lance it very quickly. It's going to be painful, but quickly, we don't want to nurture it so that it gets reinfected. You might have to squeeze it another time, but you really don't want to hold on to it. So it might leave a little scar. So what? Scars are wonderful. They are power. So let's have, I hope you've got your oil, because oil is really good. And this is your incredible temple, which is housing this incredible fire. It is the spark of life. It is the spark of creativity. It is this incredible new moon. It's Wesak next week. So, next month. So, for me, from now, it's a really very powerful month for me, a whole month. Yeah. And it's just nice to acknowledge that. Kibe, hello, my beautiful. We're doing fire. Fire and shame. That's where we're going. Crystal just wants to sleep. She's feeling so tired. But we've got oil, and if you haven't been with us for a while, we're working with real oil. So I hope you've got your oil to anoint our incredible temple. I'm working with so much, and ley lines and mapping and sacred mapping, and they have to, it's like I've just had like a whole half an encyclopedia thrown, well, no, let's just say a third of volumes of encyclopedias thrown at me, and I've got to just kind of, they all link, but I've got to just work with them a little bit. So this fire, oh yes, we want to keep this fire going. This fire, awaken it up within our head, is the sacred fire that burns. Awaken it. It's a beautiful third eye. Just envisage it being healed and being declassified. When we work with the dong, we will also loosen the calcification around it. But yeah, rabbit, remember, well, I'm going to tell you the story, not today, but Krishna is the keeper of the third eye. Which, yeah, that's what the lines across the, and then that's the line of the Shakti energy that goes down. So he is the keeper of the beginning. Yeah, so let's also open up this incredible channel here up at the top, so that we're opening our cord, open to receive. This one here, which gets affected deeply by trauma. Before I went to America, I worked with these incredible Russian people that couldn't talk English and had gone to university in Russia. But my chakras, my throat, because of the abuse I'd had, this chakra and my base chakra had actually been turned around, and I couldn't ask them. They couldn't explain it to me because we really didn't speak the language. But your chakras can get so messed up that they actually move from into different places. So come on, Aries. Who's Aries? I'm Aries. Grace. I'm Aries. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm getting started. It is. I've been given so much to be starting, so I have started, but it's just a lot of books at the moment that I need to put into one. Well, it will be a lot of books, but I have to just focus a little bit. Yeah. Safe travels, Josh, wherever you're going. Are you door dashing or going to work? Oh, yeah, I'm jumping. I'm doing what I shouldn't be doing. Awakening our heart, this beautiful 12-petaled lotus with this incredible gift of a perfect iridescent pearl in the center. These temples, and awakening the ears so that we can hear them. And I love the smell. Let's just, with sacred fire. In the beginning was, you see, I've got so many like things, different religions falling into my head at once. Let's focus on fire, the incredible purifying fire. So working within the heart, at the still point within the heart, working in the infinity symbol, going up, collecting and clearing all the negativity from our thought forms, all the way through to our pain and broken heart, down, clearing the energy in our base chakra, our abuse, and our lethargy, and stagnation and guilt, and just bringing that beautiful infinity symbol back in, just in this beautiful loop going round and round and round and round. And yes, I saw Lucky, you must really, please guys, it's really very important, spiritual hygiene. You know, almost chucking. I have said it a few times, but maybe you haven't heard. Don't forget the salt bowl. You should have salt with you to collect the negativity That's why the sea is salt. But people clean and they flick it. Where the fuck's the stuff going, guys? Who's going to pick it up? Your neighbor's cat or your neighbor's child. So just, you wouldn't throw. They used to throw the poop out the window. They don't do that anymore. But instead we throw the energy out the window and wherever which way we feel like. It's freaking wild. Flick our hands off. No wonder we're also, there's no spiritual hygiene. It's insane. Sometimes like a bunch of clowns. But yeah, thank God we're like a pile of angels fear fools rushing where angels fear to tread. So, which is also a very good thing, thank goodness. But yeah, we're missing so many of the stories, and like, how will we ever get to the end if we don't know the story, or we don't have a map, or we've only got half the map? It's very complicated, yeah. So we have to jump over moonbeams. Okay, let us clear. I was going to remind something. I can't remember. Hello, birds. Let's clear the heart. And awaken that fire in the heart. Keep it burning, guys. Don't let it go out. It can dim a little bit, but try to keep the pace. We want to try to keep the momentum. Clearing the energy in the higher realms, cleaning the energy in the astral, clearing the energies in the mind, the monkey mind, bringing in the stillness so that we can bring in the fullness. Awakening the third eye and the colors of the third eye. Very often you can see red. Red is actually here, but very often you can see red, or you might see it as blue for white center and gold. Awakening and clearing the base energy chakras, which is the ending and the beginning. With absolute gratitude that I can do this and that I can see. So I wanted to just talk to us a little bit. Oh, that's so nice and earthing, Karen. To purify from mingling with so many different energies. Yeah. It's amazing we tend to forget how much our skin and our face, because our face is pretty much always open, so we have to put our best face forward, So what a good idea, yeah? And clay is absolutely wonderful. Yeah, how was your trip, Carl? It was so nice to see you. But all of us, just don't forget that beautiful egg serum, that egg thing that you can do quite often, every now and again, just to purify ourselves. When you walk, remind yourself. It's hugely intention that you're purifying yourself. Swimming season is coming up. That's going to be awesome. Bathing. So this is where I get confused for me right now, because I've got so much that I want to share about fire. And so I'm going to just throw them out in all sorts of jumbled ways, because I know that they are actually going to come together, because maybe it's not jumbled. Yeah? And I think especially after that really powerful non-existent fire that we had from Jared on our side, which was just such a potent fire. It really hugely awakened a lot of my double Aries as well. and started just looking into what fire was and where it slotted into the Hindu thing. And then somebody was actually mentioning that she's a Zoroastrian and that she does a lot with fire. So my little brain went hugely into the purifying aspect of fire. And fire is incredibly purifying, which is why, well, we start every ceremony in Hindu starts with Ganesha. Always something to Ganesha. So in a way, he holds fire, but he also holds the Muladhara chakra, the base chakra, the opening of that, which is the fire chakra, which is the ridge chakra, which is the triangle, which is the energy, which is the beginning of the awakening of the Kundalini. He holds a lot. Ganesha is just so enormous, and I'm actually doing so much on Ganesha, writing so much. That's why it's like a little confusing right now where to actually start. But it's okay. So we'll just start at the very beginning, at the bottom, at the base. And he awakens that spark of inner fire, where the sacred Kundalini sleeps. And it's also very related with the story between Parvati and Krishna, Shiva, in that he holds the base and Shiva holds the top, this energy here. And Parvati is in the center, or Lakshmi, yeah? And they actually hold it so that the Kundalini can gently awaken up without any, not too fast, not too wild, that it can just rise up and not go back to sleep, that we can use it to tame it, that we rise in grace and joy and balance. So remember that beautiful, that's what we've been working with the gold energy up and down to clear the spine energy, working with clearing your chakra energy, and obviously this incredible, beautiful apple around us. It's just so amazing because in the apple is the star, which is us. And it's just that whole torus field around us, which is the torus field around Earth, which is pretty much the torus field around everybody. But we need to just work with it above and below our feet and just like breathe it in and breathe it out. Breathe it in and breathe it out. Yeah. Just keep ourselves alive and try to remember that it's actually a big round bubble. Yeah. It's beautiful. That Peachy's been doing so many beautiful big bubbles. It's also really so, I mean, fire cannot be, which is why Zoroastrians also, they don't worship fire. Zoroastrian is actually the first religion. Hindu is not a religion. Zoroastrian, it's a way of life. Zoroastrian then became a religion, but they don't have a god. If they have a kind of god, but it's not a god, they don't worship the fire. They just have deep, deep respect for it. And a lot of their temples are fire temples, and they never let the fire go out, which is in a lot of the African, I don't know, in the other traditions, but the children were the keeper of the fire. And the Africans, they don't let the fire go out. And only the children could carry the sacred fire when they moved from place to place because they were pure. And fire cannot be corrupted, like water cannot be polluted. So it is this incredible pure essence. And I really ask you maybe to journal a little bit or to think about it, or have too much fire and you can't go to sleep. And it's a symbol of the triangle, and it's a symbol of our lifeblood and our speech and humor and intellect. And it's also a symbol of our joy. Um, what's the negative of fire? I can't think of it right now. But it's also, it cannot be polluted. Water can be polluted, air can be polluted, earth can be polluted. But fire is, I don't know, though, sometimes I've seen some of these really interesting pink flames, but Fire maybe just really it's a purifier and an awakener. Yeah. Um, so it's not just an element. It's a whole living deity, a living remembrance. It's a messenger. And in Hindu, when they also, the fire is incredibly sacred when they do their homas. And of course, always Ganesha is brought in first. And the fire is called Agni, who's also the sun god. Yeah. And he's both the flame and the mouth of the gods. So we're feeding the fire. It's like Jared will say this fire was really hungry, but at the same time, the fire, we need to absorb that energy of the fire. So it's purifying and purifying. Yeah, it's energizing and removing the negative energies at the same time. So every offering is always passed through Agni or the fire. And what's really so he's the first priest, the first sound, the first light. Remember, we also say in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and God said, "Let there be light." So fire, light, maybe it's all pretty much similar stuff. And fire in the Hindi is also was the first word. It means the consciousness began as light, as a spark. Before there were thoughts, gods, or names, there was fire and the will to be, to burn, to become. This is why in ancient rituals, all rituals should have a flame is lit first. That's why they have the Olympic flame. It's a symbol of life and God and more life. Yeah. I also I love there's so many things with fire. It's like there are many different candles. They can all look different, but the fire always looks the same. Yeah. I love that one so much. It is the first word in the Rig Vedas. So it is Rig Veda, hymn number 111, 1.1.1. Yeah. It is part of the primordial vowels, but I can't read this Hindi script. But it says, I praise Agni, the household priest, God of the sacrifice, the one who brings the offering. It's actually a better version of it. I don't have it here. But so what we're working with is life, yeah. It's the lifeblood, and it's this fire that we are walking through into a new energies of fire. So we need to bring that fire into ourselves, let it raise up, keep it alive, whether it's in your heart or in here or down at the base chakra. Work with maybe just the 3 for now. I mean, you can work with all 7, 11, however many you feel like working with, but minimum of 3. I think it just makes it easy if we work with the still point in the heart. So I'm just liking that very much, and then the up and down. And I'm just working down the central column right now. It makes it a lot easier than working with the male and female energies. And you're not going to make any mistakes about things going up and down. So just work with the central column. Vibrates to what we were saying. Oh, that's so interesting what Lindsay was saying there about the water. What is Tagara? I have no idea what Tagara is. And we are in West Africa, the fire. Okay. Did you know? Hello, Dale. Thank you, Dale. Just keep us in the background. Hey, I learned from you too, guys. So thank you. What was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say. It's okay. of water and earth. Yeah, just stop and love mud. Well, that's mud. If so, Zoroastrian. Oh, go and Google it. ZOA, Zoroastrian. It's they I always love that they call their god somebody master. I don't know too much about it, but I do know a little bit about it. It's an offshoot of Hindu. He'll read some weird things that they can marry their cousins and their aunties and their uncles and their brothers and their sisters. It's a weird little religion. They're not that many. They're only about 200,000 now. But it's very difficult to convert to it. They don't usually take people converting. You're either born into it or not. But it was very much working with fire, getting away from. Though they do keep a lot of the stories of Hinduism, but it was kind of one of the first that actually broke away from so many gods and goddesses. So it was part of one of the first religions. And I read somewhere, I didn't see that when I was looking about it just recently, but that if they have a god, it's actually the book, the word. So that's a little bit like Muslims, but they're not Muslims. They're more Hindu. And they don't worship the fire, but they do have fire temples where they never let the fire go out. So, people will say they worship the fire, but they don't worship the fire. They just keep it as that incredible purifier, and they don't do anything without invoking the fire. I suppose it's a little bit. I don't know if they work with Ganesha. Ganesha goes so far back, and like way in the BCs to Japan, which I found very, very interesting. Yeah. Um, just also things maybe just to start, because when we talk about this, we'll go into it, but there's just so much with Ganesha. Um, then I say what I want to start the story here, but then it doesn't. It goes way back and back and back. So maybe we can kind of start a little bit. Shiva was meditating for way too long, and the gods needed Shiva to come to earth and to be married and to be happy. But Shiva was, oh God, you see, that's what the story can go on, and I don't want to go into that too much. So anyway, he married Sita, and he was just so madly in love. They were both so incredibly in love. But her father didn't like him because he lived in the mountains and he meditated too much and he smoked too much ganja and he had dreadlocks and he spoke to the animals. You get the picture, kind of real earth person, hippie person, and wasn't good enough for his daughter. I love the Hindu stuff because you can find your story everywhere. Everybody can find a story that they can relate to. Okay. So she heard that there was going to be you see, I'm going back. I didn't want to do this story. Anyway, she heard that they were going to have a big party and everybody who was anybody was invited. So the next thing she knew, she didn't get an invitation. So she thought, oh, no, it's my family. I'm just going to go. I don't need an invitation. It's family. So off she went to the party. And when she got there was an effigy of a total ridicule of Shiva. And she was distraught. And she said, and her father said, you shouldn't be here. I don't want you here. You're an embarrassment to the family. You're a shame to the family. This is what we think of your guy, and we definitely don't recognize you, and we don't recognize your relationship. She got so angry that she went up in flames. She spontaneously combusted. She was so angry. In the meantime, Shiva sent his buddies out to go and found out what had happened to his beautiful Sita, which was beautiful Nandi and his buddies, and they came back and they were absolutely silent. And Shiva, remember, had been in absolute divine, perfect love. This was his incredible Shakti, his Sita. And when he heard that she was no longer, that she was dead, he went into such a rage against the whole earth that he actually wanted to take all the mantras, all the sound, the beach sound, he wanted to take the word away from the earth. I found that just so interesting. Good. So anyway, we'll jump over that. Then there was like that. That's in between that. That is then in between. There was this great big battle, and that was when actually Lakshmi was born. But so Shiva was now so distraught. And luckily, he didn't destroy the whole creation, but it was very close to it. That he went back into the mountains, and he went for thousands of years. He went to go and meditate. And again, they said, the gods said, we've got a problem. This guy's got to come back. Nothing's going to happen. He's got work to do, and there's like all sorts of curses and prophecies that only he can fulfill. So they said, okay, we will create Parvati, who would actually be a reincarnation of Sita. He couldn't get his Sita back, but he got this reincarnation. And she meditated and went into the wild because she just wanted to be in love, him to fall in love with her and to recognize her as his love. We're just actually trying to get to the story of Ganesha. The part which I don't understand. So anyway, eventually he did. He fell in love with her and married, and they had this beautiful household thing. And now this, if you start to hear, is all of is actually in this is the story of our Kuni and the rising and where we're going and what we should be doing with our holy energy. Okay. So Shiva went off to go and do meditating, and she went to go and do her beautiful bathing, and she wanted privacy. And she asked Nandi, who was this beautiful bull of devotion, to sit, let anybody in. Anyway, Shiva came back, and the next thing he was in her room again. And she said, but why are you here? I told Nandi. But Nandi loved Shiva, so he said, well, of course you can go in. So this wasn't good enough for Parvati. This is Parvati, this is part of the Kundalini rising, so that if too quickly with the Shakti, with our Shiva energy, with this energy here, there's going to be a bit of a problem. That's when you have that like crazy awakening, or you can go a little crazy when you open it up too quickly. Okay? And it's usually from the top that it opens up too quickly. Oh, thank you. You're enjoying the story. Oh, thanks, Dan. So, where was I? Okay, so off went she again into the mountains to go and do something. You know who also did that a lot was Jesus. Would leave and he would go over to the other place and go for days to go and meditate. Yeah, they hadn't told us virtually nothing about Jesus. That's why we're such a mess. They did know, but at least we have our power. So they left huge chunks out and added a few in between. So anyway, it was just something I'm going to throw that in, which was really interesting, which was we are given, most of us in the West are given this book called the Bible. And in that book is the Old Testament and the New Testament. So at the back of our heads, we think, thanks, Lindsay. So at the back of our heads, we think that this is all one book continuation, but it's not. It is two very, very, thank you, Lindsay, two very, very separate books, and they should not be in the same book, because the God of the Old Testament is not the same, is not the God of the New Testament that Joshua was talking about. Hmm? Let's give that a little bit of a think. And there's many. He never once does he mention Yahweh in the New Testament. That's what made everybody so angry with him. Anyway, we weren't talking about the Bible book, but maybe if we separate them, it would actually be easier to comprehend. But there's still just so much. Hello, Millie. Out with the kids. I'm back. Live to you all, absolutely live. I love it when we have, I don't know if it's a spelling error, but it's great. Live to us all, absolutely. Live. Let us be alive. Okay, so she created from the clay, from the turmeric and the sandalwood, and from the scrapings of her body, she collected these and she created a little being, a little boy. When I did my teaching with pranic healing, my learning, we were taught in some very high ways of doing magic, activating things. We were told, and this comes from the Buddhist tradition a lot, don't name things. Be very, very careful of naming things, because you give them a different energy, yeah? You make them alive. And the Buddhists, it's a very high practice what they do. It's actually secret practice, but it's all out there now, so we can tell you. They make things out of clay called adamas. And it's a creature, and it becomes a live thing. They can keep it for a year, and it's almost like a genie. You're creating a thing with their thought form, but they do make it literally out of clay from the earth. Some can keep it for a decade, and some can keep it for a lifetime. Yeah. What happens after? Because a lot of these things, that's why you must be very, very careful with naming things, and spiritual hygiene, and keeping the full circle, or cutting the energy, or just putting yourself into a bubble without being too neurotic. Just like the hugging things and the shaking. Yeah, remember the Chinese, they don't even shake hands. They don't want transference of energy, because whatever you touch has got your energy. So you can get really, really neurotic. And when you start seeing too much energy, it can make you go like, yeah, it's not so good to name your clouds. These are especially inanimate objects. That's why we've got such a big mess. Big mess. You know, the Hindus, they've got so many gods, they've all got names. So at least the names are in a safe place. They don't need to name all sorts of other things. We've got this one God who is so far removed from us. Well, we've got two, we've got Yahweh and we've got Jesus. And now we're adding in a whole lot of angels, which we also don't really know too much about. I'm very wary about Metatron. There's definitely two, so I would really be a little wary of Metatron. Oh, thanks, Millie. I forgot it was 14th of the 4th. It's 1:44 today. Thank you. No wonder I'm feeling like this. Okay. I honestly didn't see it. Okay, so she made this little boy. For me, what I'm going through in my head right now, and I'm not quite sure, because this is about the Prakriti and the Purusha. the male energy and the female energy, which is quite different in the Hindu philosophy to the Chinese philosophy. But anyway, and this boy, she put him outside on guard and said, don't let anybody come in. So when Shiva came down the mountain, he said, you can't go in. He said, but I'm Shiva. He said, I don't care who you are. I was told not to let anybody in. Yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah. And it makes my power to Ludwig van Beethoven. Oh, God, that is so funny. I think just keep doing it. That's so funny, you know. He makes such a beautiful sound. Ludwig van Beethoven. That is really funny. Hey, you know, I don't want to do what you do, you know. Yeah, and the one, but Metatron also to the west. I mean, because we weren't brought up with it and we weren't told properly how to use it. Brought like money, jewelry, perfumes, magic. There's some other things that I can't think of right now, which are quite natural in the East. Adoration and sex, and they've worked with it quite differently. That's also just something so interesting that I'm really like working with in my trying to put these. So I have a lot of compartments at the moment, which is that with the sacred sites, there are definitely sacred sites in India. There are sacred sites in Japan. There's sacred sites in Egypt, and they're all slightly different. Mhm. They all have their functions. They all work with slightly different chakras. There was also something that the Egyptian Book of the Dead is actually not called, originally it was not called the Book of the Dead. I think it's something like it's the book of going through to the pure light. Makes a big difference, huh? I mean, there's the Tibetan Book of the Dead, which is, yeah, also very, very, very center orientated. Yeah. But yeah, don't know, and I don't want to get and I don't want to get people. So people went through a lot of the whole Enoch stuff and the keys of Enoch. And yes, he did go into another body, and he is what Methuselah's grandson, and it's all part of that Noah lineage. And you know, I'm really so over that stuff because it's just so misconstrued. Hmm? You shouldn't give things names. Yeah, about to, yeah. He is one of the only angels, well, not in the Bible, but he is in the Bible. It was one of the books, the Book of Enoch, that because he was Enoch, and then he became Metatron, and he became the great scribe, and wrote a lot of the word. No, it's fine. Yeah, read it if you want. So many people name their cars. Then it just gets into this whole psychobabble of Carrie, you know. Was it Carrie? Car? No. Anyway. Okay, so Shiva comes back, and he has this little dude running around, and you're not going in. And he thinks Shiva. Now remember, Shiva is like he's got so much power. Can you imagine how much power this little dude has got? That he's actually stopping Shiva. I know that in a lot of the stories that she gave him a lot of the goddesses to give him powers to actually stand up against Shiva to stop him from coming in. She just wanted a bit of peace, you know. Maybe that's why the Muslims put their women in harems. They learned from the Hindus. So eventually Shiva gets so angry that he chops his head off with his trident. Now, part of that story about chopping the head off is actually chopping the ego. Okay. Some stories say that it was actually Vishnu who chopped his head off, but most stories say that it is Shiva that chopped him off with the three aspects of the trident. Well, this was not a good thing, because now Parvati, she was beyond herself. She was totally freaked out. And she was going to take her hold. That's why I mentioned that story earlier, where Shiva was so distraught with grief that he was going to take the essence of the word, away from the whole. He was going to take the mantras away from the word, from the world. She was now so distraught, she was going to take the essence of her creation, or the Prakriti, away from the world. She was totally freaked out. Because I want my son back. I want him back. I want him back. I want him back. I don't care how you do it. I want him back, or else this whole thing's like a mess. And you can have your energy and all that you want, but there will be no creation to play with. Yeah, Shiva's he's like, what the heck? He's got to do something. There's no option. He's got to do something. I like the story that he went into meditation and he asked the animals which one would sacrifice themselves. A little bit like the San people, the Khoisan people, where they actually do a whole tribal dance and meditation, and then they see the animal that they're going to hunt. It's not all about that, but that's part of it. Yeah? They ask for an animal, and an animal will say, I'll be your animal for food. Yeah? So it willingly gives up itself. But many stories say that he just sent Nandi and the gunners out to go and find the first, some say the first creature that was facing north, or the first animal. And along came back a baby elephant. It's so interesting that none of the stories that I've seen about this or read into this come up with the element of the elephant, which for me, I've always loved elephants and their deep feminine power. But anyway, it comes back with the elephant of the head of the elephant, which just fits perfectly, and Shiva puts it directly onto this little boy's head. Some say that the head shriveled up into dust. I like to think that when you see pictures of Shiva, he's got the head. When he's as an Aguri, or the Aguris, they always have one skull, or they have a necklace of skulls. But there's always one skull that Shiva has in that state of himself. So I like to think of that as that little boy's head. Why did it become an elephant? Just so that you'd always notice him. Anyway, obviously everybody was happy, and it came because the elephant has this big head for knowledge. It has these huge ears that it can just hear a lot more than it can speak, a little mouth, little eyes that are always watching you. The element of it never forgetting things. And if you actually look at it quickly more as just the outline of it, it actually even looks like the Om sign when you look at Ganesha. I like to also think of the element because he's very feminine. He's a protector, remember, of his mom. Um, and if you know, and if you don't, please go and do some research for yourself on the elephant, the elephant tribe, the elephant animal, the elephant energy. It's a matriarchal society. They nurture their sick. They all look after the babies. They bury their dead, immaterial of what danger is around them. Who's got Eva Brown coming up here? Who named Eva Brown something? I called my one car Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds because she had a little roof. Eva Brown was, I don't know why we have so many brown products, but yeah. Yeah. They got married he married her just before the end of the war. But he didn't commit suicide. He went to, and they're actually releasing that information out. He went to South America. He apparently was very much in love with her. But I won't talk about, I can carry on about him and the medicines that he used. And he wasn't yeah, he was spell check. Eva von Braun, yeah. They weren't married for many years, and then I don't know what happened to her. I don't know if she went to South America as well, because they were supposed to have killed themselves, shot themselves in the bunker. And in Berlin, it's not really marked. You've got to know where it is because otherwise people go crazy over it. You know, people are weird. And escorted her to heaven, I believe. Any human to become an angel. No, he wasn't. There was the other one, Enoch and Elijah as well. Elijah went up in a chariot of fire as well. It's also in the Old Testament. They were the two. And then Jesus went up as well. Don't name your car. Oh, we'll have carries and all sorts of things. I know. My father had a very special girlfriend, and she named her car. I was like, what? That's where I kind of learned. Yeah, he went to Argentina. And it was like, but there were like tons of Germans in Argentina before the war, long ago. I think they had a lot to do there with the slave trade, to be honest, because all the coffee and the chocolate came from there. And Germans are particularly partial to their coffee and chocolate. And they kind of they always like to keep their hands clean. They don't. So they never really got in, except that Otto von Bismarck actually split up the whole of Africa, but they didn't really have much in Africa. They had Togo, which they lost, I think, after the war, and then they had Southwest Africa, where they had quite a few tribes extinct. They were actually given their death certificate, and they were sent to walk into the desert. And the story about that is that it's called Skeleton Coast because there's so many. It's just full of their bones. It's disgusting. They say it's because it's full of diamonds. It's not. It's because it really is skeleton. And there's just thousands and thousands that the Germans just sent in with at least they were kind. They gave them a death certificate and said, go walk. Here's your death certificate. Go. Oh, anyway, I get a little angry. Most people have got a bit of German in them too. But yeah, they're a weird thing. I have so many angles of them as well. So, where were we? With dear blessed little Shiva, little Ganesha. So he's really cute, and So part of that, he was given this boon that he would always be remembered, and that's why people are always, they never start a ritual or a festival without bringing in Ganesha, and they usually bring him in at the end as well, just to make sure that all obstacles and that it's sealed so beautifully. So he's also been given the job to be the guardian of the awakening of the Kundalini, of the life chakra. Because, I mean, if you think, the stories are kind of quite, because he was given this incredible life. But it's so missing, and I can't find it with any of the Hindu texts, right? Texts, or people that I've been trying to get the information from. How could he have been Shiva's son? He could only maybe be Shiva's son after being an elephant, because that's when Shiva put his energy into him. Before that, he is just Parvati's son. And there are many cases, he's almost like an immaculate conception. And it is and there are many cases where there have been when women can spontaneously be pregnant. I mean, it's not like common, but it has happened, and they've got lots of just I'm not sure what it's called. You can Google it, or you can ask some chat GPT or something. Oh, okay. And your mom is Jewish. Oh, that's really interesting. You know that most Germans are Jewish? Yeah, still. But they just changed their names. Germany, especially where I am here, I don't know if it's down south as well, is so ridiculously Jewish. But in history, they don't mention it now. And then you look at packets of pork, and they the butcher is Jacobson. I mean, that's so Jewish. Or there's a lot of that went to South Africa. My thoughts are that it's the North Germans that are the Boer in South Africa, and not the Dutch, like we told. Another big bullshit lie. But a lot of the cities here are named, and they're still named that, are named after rabbis. This is North Germany. I don't know about the southern thingamajiggy. And I mean, you just got to look at these people, and you can just see that is so Jewish. And obviously, the food was so Yiddish, and Yiddish sounds like German, and it was all like a big farce and a mess. And I don't think it was Hitler himself that had such a huge problem with it. He did have a bit of a problem, but it was everybody else. It's like, don't put all the blame on him. But that's what I'm really called at the moment, and it's really a little bit not so nice. That there's been so much wickedness upon this planet. Yeah. So we have to just clear up our bloodlines. Yeah. Who said that, Lindsay? Yeah. Mm. Mm. We are a whole bunch. I always said my hair, not so much now because it's now gone, but I had every kind of hair in my head. My sister had very straight hair, very fine straight hair, finished in glow. With me, my hair, if you took out a chunk of hair, you would see everything, and all the colors as well. So I would have this really, really curly hair, and then I would have wavy hair, and then I'd have thick hair, and then it would be thin hair. But so I had all this hair within my head, which I thought was always so interesting. Sorry. Love you, Millie. Thanks very much. Pop away, my love. Take good care and have the most amazing day. It's Monday. Keep your fire burning. Yeah, and just give a little thought to those energies of the elephant and the group, the matriarchal group. And elephants are also, they are such keepers of ancient wisdom. They're like the whales, but of the earth. So we don't give them enough respect as keepers of wisdom, and they cry. And then the men go crazy as well when they go, and they get drunk when they go on. I've forgotten. Oops, wrong thing. I wanted to go there. Okay. So yeah. So Ganesha was given, and he was also that's why he's called Ganesha. There's this whole like little troop which is also the creation. Everything that was ever created, everything that has energy in it, belongs to Shiva. And Ganesha has been called the leader of the Ganas. Yeah, so he actually holds creation and the respect of the animals. I still love this. Is a 221. This is the Tibetan one. This is a really old, real Ganesha. Does he have? I want to see. Sometimes he's got 10 arms, but in the Hindu, he's usually got 4 arms, and that they're not going to show you on most of these. But let me try and see. So we're looking at the keeping of this flame. So it's the rising of the flame, keeping the flame burning within the heart, keeping the fire burning within the third eye. Keeping the fire coming down from the energy from Shiva. What did I want to say? Oh, right, I have to show you this. So I'm going to kind of leave you on this one. Oh, Sarah, happy birthday. It's also Titanic sinking day. Oh, wow. This was another dark. It definitely wasn't a mistake. But in his hand, and it's also very much related to him. So I've also got to do a lot of thinking on that one and where that's going, because I do a lot of this German stuff as well. So if they didn't happen, yeah. But he has the because apparently originally he was made with 2 arms, but that couldn't contain all the weapons that he has. Okay. So he was given another 2 arms. And on the one hand, which protects us from fear, is actually the swastika. So what that actually means is the 2 is 4 arms. That's what I just recently figured. So that's what it means. But the one way is protecting, is creating, and the other one is destructing. So yeah, no, that whole regime just took so much from the Hindu religion and from Tibet. Obviously, they're not telling people, because then everybody would also know that power which they had and use it for themselves. But they didn't really succeed too much, but they did create a lot of UFOs and speak with a lot of people from other realms, not from here, and create vehicles. Yeah, and used a lot of that power between that and the Roman era. Oh, it was 113 years ago. Okay. The unsinkable, whatever. But yeah, that was all the money was on the boat, and those that really had the money cancelled their ticket. So what else was Ganesha given? I can't think right now. My dog is scratching to go out. So I'm going to love us all because he's going to scratch and my neighbor's going to get upset because I live in Germany and they don't like doors that close or people that walk on the floor. Sorry, in my strange mood today, I'm going to go and talk to their birds instead. So yeah, just give a little thought to the fire, to the energy, to the base, the four petals, the element of 4 as an opening and a foundation, and keeping that sacred fire. Yuki, I'm coming. That sacred fire burning within our heart. And I will see us tomorrow, and I'm sure I shall be beautifully focused with my beautiful magical map, which I'm busy creating. And maybe talk to you about creating your own magic maps. So much love, 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 love. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, let me go. My dog is scratching. I'm sure you can hear him. It's 19:11 here. So I'm going to love and leave you. And thank you all so much. And yeah, Tracy's sigils, they really are very powerful. And don't forget to go and have a look or go and look it up for yourself. The Hawkins scale of frequency. Okay. Love, 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 love. And yeah. Namaste. Blessings. I'm coming now, baby. Love you all so much. Bye.